Hello, nature lovers. I am Sui Peng, and a warm welcome on behalf of MNS Naturegrapher. Today is very special. Special because it's the first weekend for the free interstate travel in Malaysia. And we are also very happy because Mr. Alex Fong, our leader in the MNS Selangor branch, has organized for us to be in Fraser's Hill. And today we really are blessed with good weather, great light, and we are amongst nature. But a very special event today is I have with me Mr. Izzat Ahmad Fauzi. Izzat is the Malaysian Nature Society Selangor branch coordinator of the bird group. As you know, Fraser's Hill is the haven for birding. We have a big biodiversity here, and we have no better expert than Mr. Izzat to lead us through, to tell us about birding, but most of all is for him to tell us about his journey as a birder. Okay. Welcome, Ahmad.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to Sui Peng for inviting me to this Naturegrapher series. First of all, I'm very honored to be a guest for Photo Group. So, the journey of birdwatching. I started my journey in birdwatching actually, it was 8 years ago, where I joined the first trip with the Selangor Bird Group. So, my hobby actually started during my last year, in my last time in the university, where I took an ornithology class. So from there, I learned a little bit about bird watching. But since I studied in a foreign country, I was familiar with the foreign bird. But when I came back to Malaysia, I joined the Selangor Bird Group, and from there, it just took off, my hobby for the bird watching.
Right. When you say you joined the Selangor Branch Bird Group, how did they introduce you to the details or the techniques of bird watching? And for, let's say, a learner bird watcher, what would be the equipment, the basic equipment one needs for bird watching?
Okay, so for Selangor Branch Bird Group, we are blessed to have all very experienced trainers in our committee. So these are like the pioneers for the bird watching scene in Malaysia, like Mr. Kuswi Singh, Mr. Lim Antia, Miss Carol, Miss Lim Bing Yi. So they are among the pioneers in bird watching scene in Malaysia. So they really teach on the basic for bird watching, where you are looking at the finer detail. Of course, for most people, when they look at bird, they say, oh, it is just a bird. But when you go into bird watching hobby, you are trained to look into the finer details, like what are the color of the leg, what are the color of the body, what are the colors of the beak, the shape of the bill, the shape of the body. So we are trained to look onto these finer details. And I don't bring my tools here, but of course, one of the major tools for bird watching is our binoculars, or the famous name or the short name, call it as BINS, B-I-N-S.
Yeah. Right. I have been honored enough to be participant in some of the field trips organized by Izzat and other members of the MNS Bird Group. They also bring along what they call a scope.
Yeah, a telescope.
A telescope, yeah. So to bring the birds closer to us so that we can see the details. Would you like to then tell us a little bit more about the special moments in your journey as a birder? Sometimes we have something called lifers. Okay. What does that mean? And how does each lifer moment mean for you, or what does it translate to?
Okay, so for most birders, when we are in the field, we are not just looking at birds. Most of us is actually keeping a list of birds that we have seen. So the term life first is actually applied on the bird that you have seen for the first time.
Right.
Yeah, so everybody, just like a Pokemon Go where you are trying to catch them all. So we also trying to see them all.
Right.
So the lifer list is when you sighted the bird for the first time, that's your lifers, and we add it into our list of the bird that we have seen. Yeah.
So tell me about your lifers, or something that is so dramatic that you will not forget.
After many years of birding, I've so many memorable lifers, but one moment that I cannot forget is the encounter with the banded kingfisher, because it is...
Sorry, excuse me. What is it called? A banded kingfisher?
Yeah, it's a banded kingfisher. So in birding, you always expect the unexpected, because for me, I will just go in the trip or just walking around in the jungle or walking around in the track, and at that time it was very quiet. I've not sighted even a single bird since morning.
Right.
And then I decided to have a lunch. Then I decided to come back to the place where I walk around in the morning just to have a look. And suddenly, lo and behold, I can see a pair of banded kingfisher.
A pair?
Yeah, a
not
pair
just
of them.
one.
Not just one.
Wow.
So just like one of the moments that I had encountered that's really memorable to me.
Right.
Yeah. Another moment that I can say that's very personal to me is for the Asian open-bill stork.
The Asian open-bill stork?
Yeah, Asian open-bill stork, because there's a nice story behind it, because actually the bird was shown to me by my late grandfather. Yeah.
Whoa, that must be special.
It is, because at that time he's still quite healthy to bring me around to the paddy field. He know that I'm into bird, and just say that, oh, there's like this big white bird, hundreds of them at the paddy field. Why don't you just hop into my motorcycle and go to the paddy field? So it is one of the memorable moments that I have with him.
Which kampong? Which kampong would that be?
It's at Cenderung Balai, Perak.
Balai Perak. So you are a Perak boy?
Yeah, I'm Perakian, yes.
Okay. Then, as you have all these lifers, I notice you have helped us with sending us a list, well, actually quite a portfolio of images, yeah? Out of this 40 odd images you've shared with us, which would you think makes dramatic attention getters?
That's quite hard to say, but I would say my favorite one is the lesser frigate bird. Yeah.
They are migratory here.
Yes,
they are just stopped over here, yeah?
Yes, stopped over here.
Yes, and where do you find them?
We found them at one of the jetty at Kuala Lumpur.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a very unexpected, because we just decided to stop by the jetty just to have a lunch and just to chit chat by the seaside.
Right.
But suddenly we saw like this huge flock of blackbirds circling above us, and open closer view, then I realized, oh, it's a lesser frigate bird, which is like quite rare.
Right.
It's not often seen near to the seashore, because they usually hang out in the open ocean, and the birds actually following a fisherman boats. Yeah, they are eating some of the trash fish thrown out by the fishermen. Yeah, so that's why they are attracted to quite near to the land area.
So, as migratory birds, and I believe Malaysia is well positioned. Yeah, I think here we are very blessed. We are in the position where we are in what they call the
Thai Malay Peninsula.
Yeah, Thai Malay Peninsula, where we are also in a kind of a flight path for the migration.
Yes, correct. Because our landmass is becoming like a stopover for some of these migratory birds. So some of them are traveling from north to south and south to north.
Right.
So along the way, they might stop over in some of the places in our country, in Malaysia, especially in the peninsula. But we also have some in the Sabah and Sarawak.
Right.
Yeah. So our migratory pathway is also known as a East Australasian migratory pathway.
Right.
So it's one of the pathway that is that the birds use to fly up and down the northern and southern hemisphere.
Right. So let's say if they are coming from the northern hemisphere, would they come as far away as Siberia, or where would most of them come from?
Yeah, most of them might come from all the way up to the Mongolia, Siberia,
yeah.
Russia. Yeah.
And then they will go where would they go to escape winter?
Sometimes they will stop over in Malaysia, then they will spend, they will overwinter here in Malaysia.
Yes.
But some of them will continue further all the way until Australia. Yeah,
All the way to Australia.
All the way down.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's say on average, how long bird time, for them to do that kind of journey?
Oh, it's depend on the birds, but
Yes.
usually most of the time when these birds are flying during the migratory path,
Yeah.
they won't stop. There's a record of the bird flying non-stop for 36 hours. Yeah, they make it a journey of
Yeah.
about thousands of
Yes.
kilometers.
Right,
yeah,
right.
non-stop, which is
Wow.
really amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah.
The search for warmth,
Yeah.
to escape winter.
True.